you dream of being James Bond as a child?
I didn't even dream of sitting in a seat that had been warmed by James Bond. My goodness. I mean, I buck the trend. I'm a Roger Moore Bond man. I like a naff Bond. I like a Bond that knows it's a laugh and takes a piss. You know what I mean? Like, he's comfortable with being a bit silly, you know? And also an old Bond. I mean, you do, because, you know, he's... Yeah, I mean, Moore was old for the part when he took it, but by the time he finished, his eyebrows were going pubic, weren't they? I mean, I think that's a good thing, because...
You like pubic eyebrows?
Well, no, but the government... the government is very big at the moment on the whole grey power thing about empowering older people in the workplace. I mean, you're the poster boy, obviously, for the whole... I reckon, you know, James Bond, with respect, should show a little, you know, he was a middle-aged bloke, as far as early middle age. I mean, I think he should encounter the problems that you encounter in early middle age. I mean, when he's on that slab, you know, with a towel across his bum, you know, I don't think he should be having a massage for an Oriental lovely. I think it should be a prostate test. Lift it up, because have you, I mean, as a...
It said more about you, this, doesn't it?
Well, yes.
It is, when he's getting older. This is what it's all about. He's getting older, you see. And he's getting frightened, because...
I am frightened. You would be frightened. You've had it, I'm sure you've had it. Of course you've had it. What is conversation? Well, that's the point. You've got to... These are important. Check your balls, check your ass. I went to the doctor... you know, I'm obviously older than you, so it's a shock the first time, and because it is something that we need to warn about. I went for medical. You know, whenever you do any filming, not that I've done James Bond, obviously, but, you know, I've been on the telly, and you have to have a medical. And for the first time, it was... And it's a shock, you know, no warning.
No.
And it's embarrassing, and people get embarrassed, and, you know, you don't know what to say. But this guy says... So will there be another series of The Blackadder? It's not a conversation you want to have. Well, you know...
The joys of growing... The indignities of growing old.
Yes,
Talking about your novel. Let's do that. This is called a Chart Throb.
It is indeed.
Yes, and it's about reality television shows. It's the X Factor. The X Factor has disappeared, and then this is the show that takes over from it.
Yeah, it's more... I mean, they're not really reality shows. I mean, they're the modern... talent contests, or so they suggest that they are. And, of course, my novel's a comprehensive urine extraction of the whole tawdry affair. I mean, it's all about those you know, desperate, crazed, no-talent fame junkies.
Is it?
Yeah, obviously, I'm talking about the judges here. You understand what I'm saying?
Of course.
Because, you know, I mean, it's central to the culture now. I mean, the desire for an instant hit of stardom, to become instantly famous, is really, I suppose, every goal. Famously, Chantel's Live the Dream. You know,
what's wrong with that?
Well, nothing wrong with it, but it's up for, as I say, it's also good to have a laugh about it. Well, actually, there are some stuff wrong with it. I mean, well, first of all, don't get me wrong, I enjoy the show. I love watching X Factor. I enjoy it. I think it's great television. It's great entertainment, which is what it is. I do think it's got a design fault. Right. I mean, I think they get it... There's one thing they could do to improve it, because it gets duller as it goes along. I mean, the first show... I don't know if you've watched it, but the first shows are great. I mean, they start out with 100,000 people who can't sing, can't walk, can't form a coherent sentence, right? And we all have a laugh, and then they narrow it down to sort of 12, you know, bog-standard pub singers, a couple of brilliant ones, but, you know, end up with someone we're all going to forget about in 6 months. They need to play it in reverse. Start with the winner and spread out across the country looking for all the idiots. I mean, they could have a great final at Wembley Stadium with 100,000 idiots singing "You Are the Wind Beneath My Wings." It'd be fantastic.
So it's not then about a search for... What your point would be, that the contestants are not there to be singers, but to be famous, basically.
Yeah, I mean, look, and I have no argument with that. Anybody, you know, has that dream. I wish there were a few other dreams than being famous, you know, I mean, because sometimes I think, is your dream to be a famous singer or just to be famous? And my argument with the show, and as I say, I do enjoy it, and I have no argument with people's dreams, but I do have an argument, I think, with the level of cruelty in the early stage. I mean, let's face it, because that's the bit we love, innit? With all of, you know, the desperate, dysfunctional, social, you know, nightmares. You know, I really want it so much. I just want it so... It's my dream. Ever since I was a kid, it was my dream. It's my dream. I want it so much because I'm special, you know, I'm special. They're all special. I'm so special. I'm special, Simon. You've got to put me through. I'm special. Yeah, unfortunately, with quite a few, we're talking special needs here. Now, there'll be some who say, no, that's out of order, that's out of order. But actually, when you look, some of these people are genuinely... I think, you know, a little dysfunctional, and because that's what's happening here. Because we love to watch it, but I do, but I'm in no.
But that's the sinister side of it.
Yeah, it's
these
slightly
people being
cynical, 'cause
exploited.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not under any illusion
But
when I
people ought
watch
to know
it.
better.
Yeah, I mean, it is not a genuine search for a new Robbie Williams or Aretha Franklin. This is a freak show. I mean, in the early stages, it's the oldest game in society's book. It's the mob gathering together to take the piss out of the most vulnerable and the most inadequate members of society. It's just... The X Factor has turned the whole country into a medieval village, and we're all stood in the village square laughing at the idiots. You know what I'm saying? It's Quasimodo time. It's go on, do your little dance, sing your little song. You are the wind beneath my... Oh, you really owned that song, Quasimodo. You owned it, but you're crap. Piss off. No, look...
You take it to its ultimate limits, of course, because you have, in your scenario, you have the Prince of Wales, who becomes a contestant.
Yeah, I know.
And you have him singing, he sings Dear Ken John Peel, and he sings And Jerusalem.
And the British Grenadiers.
And the British Grenadiers.
Look, it's a satire. It's set in a future where things are even. I mean, obviously, the structure is exactly the same as before. And the funny thing is, we people say, oh, Ben, you know, you're so mean. But think about it. My character, my Svengali guy, he says anyone can work out what we're doing here. We actually boast of the numbers. Look, they start with 100,000. We start with 100,000, and we got these 3 judges, you know, and we actually think, oh, 100,000 people trying to get past, you know, Simon, Sharon, and the other bloke. But I mean, think about 100,000 people. Do the maths. 100, let's say 10 an hour. That's 10,000 hours. Let's say a 10-hour day. That's 1,000 days. That's 3.5 years they'd have to sit there going, I think you need to find yourself another dream, darling. So, obviously, Simon, who is a multi-millionaire, multinational media conglomerate, obviously rings up from America, goes, I want all of mingers, a few singers, I'll give you a week in July, I'll see you then. Because he's not getting the credit he deserves. Because the real genius of this man, because he is a brilliant entertainer, but his real genius is in your game, because he's the best actor. He beats you guys. Because look, he's always so amazed, isn't he? He can't believe it. He says, how could you be stood in front of me? Why do you think you can sing? What are you doing telling me you're the next Justin Timberlake? How could you be so stupid? He can't believe it. How could he? Because Simon's researchers, whom he pays, who work for his company, have spent the entire year looking for those people. You know, searching every stadium full of people, you know. And as I say, look, it isn't a cultural crime. I enjoy the show. I enjoy watching it.
You keep saying that. You keep saying that.
And I do.
Sam McCall might take some convincing of that fact. But...
Oh, I think he hands it out. I reckon he can take it. And if he can't, he's a rhymes with banker. But anyway. I think he can.
But your look on the show, the Sam and Carl figure was called Calvin Sims. He makes a very interesting point. He says he's talking to the Prince of Wales. And
that's right, yeah.
He's talking about why people are on the show, and he says that politics are not serious anymore. It's showbiz. George Galloway on Big Brother. The PM on Parky.
Oh, I thought you'd notice your mention there.
Yes,
but you do notice that the next line, the Prince of Wales does say he was very good. You notice that?
He said he rather liked it.
Exactly.
It's not the same as you say.
There's a rule of the culture, which is that you can annoy the Prince of Wales, but you don't mess with Parky.
That's it.
OK? So I made sure.
But the important point about showbiz and politics. I mean, you see the Galloway thing as being an indication of that deal.
Yeah. Look, I mean. As I say, the book is an entertainment. It's a pure comedy about a show which is a pure entertainment. But there is a serious satirical core, for what it's worth, and the two sort of prongs of my two-pronged trident are, a famous obsessed culture where people have not really got beyond I want to be famous, which I do think is something we need to think carefully about in a modern world where I've got close relatives of mine are teachers, and she said that, you know, kids are now saying, I want to be famous, rather than I want to be a famous footballer or I want to be a famous singer. People are actually parading their dysfunctionalism.
It's a job being famous.
Yeah, in order to be... They'll use their own lives, their own bodies. Oh, my heartbreak breast implants, I'm famous. You know what I mean? It's people using themselves. It started with Jerry Springer, but now it's part of the central part of the culture. The other worry I have, certainly something as a kind of observer, was the George Galloway moment. I mean, when Britain's foremost anti-war protester, a man of immense significance, I mean, he really was...
Is he really that?
He was. Once he faced down the US Senate, he was. I mean, as a major voice in the anti-Iraq campaign prior to the war. I, like many people, supported the war because I believed that we were nationally under threat, that our security was at war. Galloway didn't. He made a big noise about it and was impressive in front of the American Senate when they tried to do him for corruption, and then suddenly he's on a catsuit in Big Brother. Now, his argument was that it was necessary. In order to connect with a new generation who are disassociated from politics, you have to go to them. I think that's a mistake. I think politicians have to rediscover the dignity of office. And that doesn't mean not going on Parky, because, as I say, obviously we're talking, now the Queen Mother's gone, and you are the sort of leader of the nation. but same hair, but...
As the Queen Mother?
Well, sort of. Nice,
Oh,
lovely silvery sheen.
sod.
I know, well, I'm
Your
going...
eyes look a bit
A little bit of salt and pepper. So that's why I used a fictional version of His Royal Highness, which obviously has a few laughs, but on the whole I think is there to demonstrate something which I'm sure he'd agree with, which is it is almost impossible to debate anything seriously because it's like, you know, it's all down to personalities now.
But finally, having done the research on this and watched these programmes and written about it, I mean, is there a way back from them, or is this what we're lumbered with now for forevermore?
I don't think
and variations of it.
I don't think we need a way back from Pop Idol, X Factor, etc. I mean, it's great. It is great Saturday night entertainment. I think there are elements of it which are exploitative and almost abusive, but I think they're kind of getting hip to that themselves. And I think actually there's a couple of quite decent singers up there this time, so I don't think that's the villainy. I think we're all part of the villainy. A culture which is basically has dispensed with privacy. This is where I think the real seriousness lies. That we have almost come to see privacy as as a perverse idea. Why would anyone want to do anything in private? Surely it's only relevant if it's on television. I mean, when Big Brother began, the issue was, my goodness, can you imagine living with 40 cameras looking at you the whole time? People actually kind of thought that was strange. Yes. Now, nobody gives that a second thought. No, it's merely who have they got on? Is it a good Big Brother this year? Yeah. Same goes for the jungle. So I think whether it'll be possible to teach our children that privacy matters, that some restraint, that not using yourself, trying to create a dysfunctionalism in order to make yourself significant. Perhaps it's significant to not be dysfunctional. I think that may be something, I guess it's down to every parent to try and talk about it. But I don't think X Factor's to blame any more than I am. You are, obviously not you, Parky. You're involved.
Well, the book is an excellent read. It's very, very funny and very perceptive, and it's called Chart Throb. Ben Elton, thank you very much indeed. Ben Elton.